Alrighty guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. You're watching the daily series of Nwadei MMA, where I give you my thoughts, but more importantly, ask for you guys' thoughts as I break down these fights and talk about events going on in the MMA community today. So guys, thank you for stopping by the channel. Is Paulo Costa actually fighting? Is he really fighting? This is something that I feel like we just all gotta ask, because today, alright, we know the reason why you guys stopped by. UFC 298, we got some bangers. We already broke down Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria, so if you haven't checked that out yet, go ahead and check that out right after this video. But now we are going to be breaking down Robert Whittaker, the Reaper, versus Paulo Costa. They were supposed to fight about a year ago and some change. They were supposed to fight in January of 2023, however it didn't pan out. Paulo Costa ended up pulling out of the event or never signing the contract in the first place, which is why we go right back around to what I just said. Is Paulo Costa actually gonna fight? I mean, he's been scheduled multiple times now to fight Khamzat Chimaev, Ikram Aliskerov, Robert Whittaker, 3 fights in a row that he's pulled out of. He hasn't fought since 2022. It's now 2024, so that should give you some perspective on how long it's been for Paulo Costa. And another interesting thing is these guys haven't fought anyone with their exact same style or from the exact same stance. Now, what I mean is neither of these guys in a long time have fought anything other than a southpaw, right? Paulo Costa's last couple of fights were Luke Rockhold and Marvin Vettori. Both of those came after fighting Israel Adesanya. So yes, he's only had 2 fights since his loss to Israel Adesanya, which seems like forever ago now. And they were both against southpaws. One who's a southpaw who mainly uses his hands and wrestling, and Marvin Vettori, and then Luke Rockhold. I think we all know his style. But Robert Whittaker, on the other side, has fought Cannonier, who we thought was going to be an orthodox fighter, but mainly went southpaw in that fight. He fought Marvin Vettori as well, which is another southpaw. He fought Dricus Du Plessis, who also is a switch hitter similar to Jacare Cannonier, except I feel like he favors a little bit more the southpaw stance as well. So he hasn't been fighting any of these traditional orthodox fighters like Paulo Costa is, and Paulo Costa hasn't been fighting any of these traditional orthodox fighters like Robert Whittaker is. So we're gonna break down some fights here today. Welcome to the ultimate breakdown of UFC 298's co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you enjoy watching fight breakdowns and MMA content, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. To support the content, leave your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section, and you're more than welcome, as always, to join the family, the Nwadei MMA family, by subscribing and hitting that bell icon to be notified when more videos like this one come up in the future. But with that being said, I'm going to try not to take too long on this breakdown, but I am going to try and go in depth with this breakdown as I usually do. So stick around if you like in-depth analysis. So getting into a little bit of the tangibles before we get into the intangibles of the fight, because I think these are important to talk about. Robert Whittaker is the more experienced fighter, having 25 wins, 7 losses, while Paulo Costa has 14 wins, 2 losses. Robert Whittaker has definitely been more active, therefore receiving more damage as of late, and Paulo Costa has not fought, so he's been relatively healthy, right? So that's a big thing we're going to talk about more later in this fight while we're breaking down each of their styles. But Robert Whittaker is also coming off of a loss for his last fight against Dricus Du Plessis. A lot of us remember what happened there. Paulo Costa's coming off of a win against Luke Rockhold some time ago. They're both relatively the same height. Robert Whittaker at 6 foot, Paulo Costa at 6'1". Paulo Costa is a bigger fighter, definitely. He couldn't make welterweight if he cut his head off, and Robert Whittaker definitely made welterweight in the UFC before. So Robert Whittaker, he's not necessarily a small middleweight. I'd say he's a natural size middleweight, but there's a lot of big middleweights in the weight class who he's already fought, right? The Yoel Romeros of the world, and now the Paulo Costa of the world, right? So Robert Whittaker also is going to have a 1.5 inch reach advantage, which is huge because he really never has a reach advantage over anyone. So with his style, the way he likes to cover distance and things like that, I think that's a big advantage. And he also has the leg reach advantage as well. Paulo Costa is like the opposite of Alexander Volkanovski, right? He's very big and broad and things like that, but then his arms are like, you know, T-Rex arms a little bit, right? While Volk, on the other hand, is very small, short, stocky, but very long arms. Weird, but yeah. Another interesting couple of stats is that Paulo Costa lands actually 2 more strikes per minute, but this could be skewed considering the fact that Paulo Costa has been in way less 5-round fights than Robert Whittaker. He has a more accurate, significant strike percentage. He also absorbs double the amount of strikes that Robert Whittaker absorbs at 6 strikes per minute to Rob's 3 strikes per minute. Their grappling stats are relatively the same, and Robert Whittaker is the favorite. Now, going into these fighters' styles, based off of their last fights and how they match up with each other, well, Robert Whittaker's style is very similar to a darting karate style, so to speak, right? He covers distance very fast. He likes to dart in, dart out to get in and out of range. He has a laser fast cross that he uses anytime someone goes southpaw or even just to get into range. He'll just throw that cross, not telegraphed at all, which also sets up that high kick as well that he's so well known for. But a lot of things that people sleep on is his left hook. He has a stabbing left hook that often sets people up for that high kick as well, and that when people get hit by it, often get surprised at how strong it is. It sets up a lot of different things like his cross as well, and he uses it also to get in and out of range and to follow up in and out of range as well. Another thing we got to talk about for Robert Whittaker, maybe some negative things about him, is that he is small for the weight class, right? So if Paulo could get him to carry his weight, that's going to be an advantage for Paulo Costa. We saw that with Dricus Du Plessis a little bit, which we'll talk about more, but he's small for the weight class. He might carry the same power, but he's going to be able to take less damage than Paulo Costa will, and you know, everything that comes with a size disadvantage, right? And then lastly, he's also taking a lot of damage. He's coming off of a knockout loss to Dricus. He got knocked out by Israel Adesanya. He's had his wars with Yoel Romero. He's had a very tough fight with Cannonier, in which he also got wobbled. I mean, he's been through the ringer, as much of a ringer as any fighter, any legend has been through, right? So that's something we got to watch out. That's something that I would kind of take as a negative. His experience that he's gained from all that is definitely a positive, but the damage he's received is a negative. Now, on the other side with Paulo Costa and his style, Paulo has a very plotty style of forward pressure, right? He doesn't dart in and out of range. What he does is he kind of walks into range and expects you to kind of stay there, which is why we've seen him have trouble with people who have really good footwork in the past. Again, another thing we're going to talk about in this video, he has scary power, the one-shot knockout power. He's not afraid to go to the body as well, which really breaks people down and breaks their will mentally. He has a very good gas take and can carry a high pace. I mean, we've really never seen him gas out. Even at altitude, going against Luke Rockhold, he was there the whole time, above the threshold of Luke Rockhold. He was there breaking Luke down. We saw him even against Marvin Vettori. There was times where he looked tired. Marvin carries a good pace himself, but he was never tired enough to just wilt up and get finished, right? So even though he carries a very large body and a lot of weight, he's able to carry a good pace. And stemming from his last fight against Luke Rockhold, when he was actually in shape, made weight and everything, his gas tank looked good. So I think that's another bonus for Paulo Costa. And then lastly, he also has a pretty good ground game. I think people underrate his, not only his takedowns, because people don't think he's going to take him down, but then also his jiu-jitsu. I think his jiu-jitsu is underrated. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I think that could play a factor into this fight as well. However, some of the negatives for Paulo Costa, he's a little slow, and you can kind of predict what he's going to do when he steps into range. He's not very good at cutting people off, which also has to go with his slowness and his plotty style of pressure. So people are very easily able to circle away from him. Now, of course, that's given the fact that he's been going against a lot of southpaws and the angles are a little bit different. And now he's going against an orthodox fighter, but still all the same. He also, and this is maybe one of the biggest mistakes he makes, is he backs straight up, right? He doesn't cut angles very often. Same reason why he can't cut people off, but he backs straight up. He just expects you to stop throwing, and he can run into some danger here against Robert Whittaker with that hole in his game. And then one more thing, we already talked about him kind of being a little slow. I don't think it's as much him being slow as it is he makes big gross motions, right? He doesn't really set up his strikes. He kind of just throws them. Everything is hard, and because he throws them so hard, everything is kind of easy to see. So that's what I meant by Paulo Costa's a little slow. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these fights that we're gonna break down for this particular matchup. On one side, with Robert Whittaker, whom we're gonna watch first. Robert Whittaker, I feel like the best fights to watch of Robert Whittaker's in order to see how he's going to fight against Paulo Costa is one, his fight with Cannonier. It's another big body power striker, except Cannonier, I feel like it's just like a better version of Paulo Costa. The way he sets up his kicks, the way he sets up his hands, and he's constantly getting better. He's smaller, but I think he's more educated, and then he also switches stances, which is something that's interesting, and that we're gonna see how Robert Whittaker dealt with Cannonier's style, right? So that's an important fight. I think another important fight is his fight against Jacare Souza, because he has that plotty forward style of pressure. And finally, I came across a fight where Robert Whittaker fought an orthodox fighter. This is the last orthodox fighter that Robert Whittaker fought, like pure orthodox fighter. This is the last one. Kind of crazy, right? So we're gonna watch those two fights, and then we're gonna finish off with his fight against Dricus Du Plessis, because that's again somewhere that we can kind of see what went wrong, why it ended up the way it did, and maybe some of the holes in Robert Whittaker's game, right? And then on the other side with Paulo Costa, we're gonna break down his fights with one, Marvin Vettori, in order to expose some of the things that he does and his style based off of everything that I've said. A little bit of his fight with Luke Rockhold, and then also his fight with Israel Adesanya, because that is the last orthodox fighter that he actually ended up fighting. Very interesting. Well, without further ado, thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe if you're still watching, and let's go ahead and get right into the film study and fight analysis. Alrighty, so first order of business, we're going to be tuning in to Robert Whittaker's fight against Jacare Souza. This was on his rise, okay? So this wasn't just some ordinary fight. This is when Jacare was Jacare Souza, right? I actually picked against him in this fight just because I knew how good Robert Whittaker was. I was a fan of him, but man, he really surprised everyone with this fight. So Jacare, of course, known for his judo, his jiu-jitsu, and then he has a lot of power in his strikes, but his striking is honestly very similar to Paulo Costa's, right? So yeah, we see a little bit of grappling here. I don't think that Rob's gonna have to worry about that too much from Paulo Costa, because Jacare's grappling is way better, and he dealt with Jacare just fine in these clinch and takedown scenarios. I mean, just look at some of his grappling sequences. Look at this. Jacare tries to keep it going. He stops it, just stands up, keeps that far side Kimura grip, and then right back to cage defense. Jacare gets the trip. Again, Rob is getting back up while defending the back. This is a very big thing, because this is a tough position to be in with a world champion in Jacare Souza. And then he's able to disengage, get back to the feet, and take the center again. Very good grappling defense from Robert Whittaker. This is something like his defense and his grappling is a lot better than his offense. So right there, he actually dropped him. It looked like Jacare slipped a little bit, but that's just because of how fast Robert Whittaker is. So if we go back, it was just a step in 1-2. Very, very quick. And it's hard to see, especially going against another orthodox fighter, right? So he has a very fast jab, and I think that's where a lot of Robert Whittaker's attacks come off of and why they're so good, right? But look at the way he moves and glides in and out of range. A lot of times he'll double up on that jab, but that's the cross I was talking about, right? He's gonna lead with this cross, and then look where he finishes off. Leads with the cross, steps offline to avoid any power shots coming his way. He's stepping away from the hook. You can see how Jacare Souza is overextending right here. Takes away a lot of the power from the hook, and then bang, that stabbing left hook. And right after that, you can see that the cross can fire at any time after throwing that. But beginning of the fight, he's setting it up, and we move forward. Again, that jab, keeping it in his face. You can see him just looking to blitz right off that back foot. Bang. That's another thing. He'll follow up that right hand. And this is why I said it was a problem that Paulo Costa moves straight backwards. But not only does Paulo throw everything into all his shots, but at the same time, he never cuts angles, right? And so if he's not in range trying to counter you or strike back against you, he's moving straight back, which is very dangerous against someone who closes distance super fast like Robert Whittaker, for this specific reason, right? Feints, darts in with the cross, and instead of coming around with the left hook like he did last time after the cross, he throws it straight, bang. Catches Jacare as he's moving straight backwards against the cage, and then the round ends. Very dangerous, am I right? Round 2 against Jacare. Again, guys, we're not going to watch all these fights all the way, just because I want to make this pretty quick for you guys, but I want to just give you all the information that I can in this short amount of time that I have with you guys. So if you guys appreciate that, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But again, Robert Whittaker, he's feinting, and mainly when he feints with movement. Look how he's just testing the waters with that lead hand before he explodes into that right hand. Another thing that he picked up actually after this fight, wow, again, that 1-2. You can't move straight back, you gotta cut that angle. And what I mean by cut the angle is he steps, right? And you see his head gets off the center line, right? But if you keep going straight backwards, it allows your opponent to kind of track you, right? With the feet or with him leaning and overextending. After Rob throws this jab, it's almost imperative that with this step, with this leg, that you just keep going this way to the left, right? If you keep going straight back, that's why you get caught with the cross like that. Ends up following up against Jacare. And man, like I said, man, this was an insane fight. I still remember I was at a restaurant actually, because I worked for Grimaldi's Pizzeria, and I was in the back cutting cheese and shit for the pizzas. And I remember I was watching this fight. I had to stop working for a second because, as you can see, this shit was amazing. But now look how he hunts him. He knows that Jacare is trying to shoot. He throws that uppercut afterwards. Very cerebral, very logical way of finishing. This is what I love right here about mixed martial arts. It's so unique to see how he sets these things up. He's been throwing the leaping cross all fight, right? The darting in cross. Feints it, bang, head kick. Waiting for that head to get off the center line. I don't know how Jacare ate that, but he did. Another thing he likes to do, which we're not gonna necessarily see today, but off of that front kick that he throws right in front of your face, he'll actually throw that leaping left hook into a cross. That's another setup he likes to do. Still looking for that uppercut. Darting cross, back to the left hook, switches stance, teep. There's that double up jab that I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the fight. And now he's just hunting him. Sees that Jacare is hurt, measuring him with that jab just to make sure he doesn't close distance too fast. And if Robert Whittaker can initiate the range and distance, that's where Paulo Costa can really get hurt. Still measuring with that jab. There's that leaping left hook. The left hook, the cross, and all that, it's all to get you going one way. As soon as you start circling right, that's where you're in danger to get finished like that. Bang, 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 everything straight, everything landing, very accurate, and there's the finish. Again, going back, notice the tendencies of his strikes and what he's throwing, right? Left hook. Okay, keep circling left. Cool. Jab. Again, another left hook. All right, now maybe I should circle the other way. No, you should, and that's why. So he's very methodical about the way he likes to set up these finishes, and that head kick that people just think is awkward and whatever. It's really not that awkward. It's just the way he throws it. It's always set up, which is always why he has success with it. Now going into the next fight, because again, like I said, guys, I don't want to take too long. So starting off in the middle of the first round, Cannonier did a good job. You see how he's southpaw, right? Usually orthodox, but southpaw for this fight. Cannonier actually did a good job of trying to take out Robert Whittaker's lead leg due to that blitz forward style. However, Rob also did a good job of checking and measuring his range with the kicks early. So this is after they've kind of already gotten each other's range. Jared tries to go in for a big gross motion, and Robert Whittaker times it with a good jab. That's something that Paulo has to watch out for, because everything he throws, you could kind of see it before he throws it, right? Again, times another kick with a jab. That jab is lightning fast. Cannonier, he doesn't want to stay in orthodox too long. As soon as he goes to southpaw, there it goes. There was that high kick, and then that stabbing cross. Oh my god, that shit's beautiful. Looking at him. Again, tries to set up the high kick. He actually broke Cannonier's forearm in this fight too, which is something I feel like we got to talk about, because it's not the reason people throw that kick isn't just to connect with the head. Oftentimes, it's not even the shin on dome that ends up knocking people out. A lot of times, it's their own hand from blocking it like this, because they don't get it up all the way. It might be their own hand knocking them out or rocking them. In my last fight, actually, I hit my guy with a head kick like last second. He had his guard up, and he actually got rocked by his own hand again. But going back to Robert Whittaker, he also targets the arms as well, not just to knock him out, but even if you do block it correctly, you see this gap? If that kick is powerful enough, it actually will break your forearm. People target the arms all the time. You see that in One Championship, Muay Thai, and kickboxing, and various striking martial arts. So it's not a bad thing to just target that arm, which he will do. But you see how Jared's kind of like plotting and things like this. To be honest, I feel like I said earlier, Jared's a more sophisticated version of Costa. I mean, you see he's southpaw right now, which I don't think Costa ever does. But Jared Cannonier, like the way he fought against Gastelum, Jared Cannonier set up those high kicks beautifully and just put on a kicking masterclass. But if we're talking about big gross motions from a powerful guys, watching how Robert Whittaker approaches powerful guys, he doesn't back down from these guys, man. He just times them. Whenever they're about to load up, that's when he'll go. You see, he just steps right inside of that leg, lands that jab, he's ready to check that kick. And he always has a setup. As soon as Jared switched, he threw that lead hook, and you know which way he's trying to bait him into going, right? Where he takes the center, back on that jab. Ooh, barely missed with that laser cross. Now, again, we're not going to watch this whole fight, but look at this. This is the kind of distance that Robert Whittaker covers, which is off that back leg, right? And it's not telegraphed. He's just stepping, right? Bouncing, and bang, goes. If this hits his head, he's punching through the head. That's why he gets knockouts. That's why it seems like Robert Whittaker has power, because he puts everything from his body into these shots. It's very efficient, doesn't take much energy. It's mainly just that leaping forward kind of style. Dricus was actually able to catch him in this, which is why he was able to hurt him. But this is going against a guy like Cannonier or like Paulo Costa, who has a similar reach to Robert Whittaker, right? One thing that Robert does do though, which leaves him vulnerable, is that because he does blitz him, sometimes it's hard for him to get out, which leaves him available to counters, which is how Israel Adesanya was actually able to knock him out. Again, he looks for that 2-to-1. What Jacare Cannonier does good here is that he angles out of range. He doesn't go straight back, he steps, right? Does that make more sense? Let me know if y'all kind of understand what I'm saying. Attacks that lead leg. Now Jared's orthodox here, going for that left hook. Good teep. And now he goes back to southpaw. Good thing is though, Robert Whittaker, whether you go orthodox or southpaw against him, he's constantly downloading you and constantly trying to figure you out. And then once he figures you out, he has setups from both stances. He's one of the best middleweights of all time. I don't think I have to go in too much to his IQ, because his fight IQ is top notch, top level. And like I said, one of the best middleweights of all time. But I think that's enough of watching Jacare Cannonier fight. We're going to go into now the Dricus fight, something that a lot of you I know have been waiting for. A lot of people feel like he got blown out by Dricus. He got destroyed. That's not actually what happened, man. You know, in fighting, it's just small mistakes that can get you. He actually, in my opinion, was dealing with Dricus' style very well. And just to talk about this a little bit before going into the fight, they both have that blitz forward style, karate background. Dricus is more long though, so it's a little bit of a different timing you have to get on him. I thought Robert Whittaker should probably stay on the outside a little bit more and look to move laterally, can't move straight backwards against him, which he was doing a good job of doing. But he was coming just straight forward. He wasn't attacking off of any angles, which is part of angling, right? Not just for defense, but for offense as well. And so coming into this Dricus fight, I think he was dealing with him very well. I mean, look at some of the setups he does, right? So he's moving off to Dricus' power side right now. Again, Dricus is going southpaw. Hasn't fought an orthodox fighter in I don't know how long. Taps that lead leg, keeps moving. Very lateral movement, lateral movement. This is part of the reason why he got tired, because he was moving so much. Tries to interrupt him with that jab. You see how he gets you to overcommit. He's moving backwards. You start wanting to get frustrated and just commit, and that's when he gets you. He lets your power run into his power. There's that jab into the lead hook. Dricus also moves straight back. He's also someone who doesn't exit too early. But the way Dricus dealt with Rob, he's just constantly switching. See how he's constantly switching? He gets caught with that jab, trying to throw a kick. You see how, oh my God. Is this not beautiful to watch? Look how he steps in. Jab. Okay. Now he's going to go again. Jab. And then ducks the lead hook. Like, you can almost expect that Paulo Costa is going to be throwing a lead hook, a check hook, off of anything that Robert Whittaker throws. But I think another important thing to look at is that when Dricus throws high kicks, because he will in this fight, how does Robert Whittaker respond? Still looking for that jab, still moving, doesn't want to get his back against it, checks that kick, dodges those punches. Now he's looking to more stand in there. He's tired of going backwards all the time. My God, tell me this isn't beautiful. And I've broken this one down before when I was breaking down Dricus versus Sean Strickland. But look at this. Side kick, which we know he's gonna do, right? Into a jab, catches the timing for a takedown. His wrestling is really good. His wrestling, honestly, in my opinion, might even be better than his jiu-jitsu. But Dricus has good ground game, good jiu-jitsu. He was able to get up here. I think Paulo will also be able to get up. Rob doesn't have the best top control, necessarily couldn't hold Izzy down either. But his ability to switch these things up, it changes your striking and the way you approach him, right? So, yes, Dricus was able to get back up. And now let's look what they do back on the feet. Again, looking for that jab. Wrestling, it takes a little bit out of you too. Okay, so that's one high kick that Dricus threw. Oh, nice. That's what I was talking about. Off those push kicks, that's what Rob likes to do. He'll throw a push kick just off air, and then he'll leap into that left hook, and then the cross. Beautiful, beautiful setup. And that's something that can bait Paulo to coming in and then crash forward into him. Now that's where he kept getting caught. It's southpaw versus orthodox, and Dricus is just coming right over the top of his jab. Oh, didn't go back far enough. Boom. Oh, he got too predictable. Now he needs to get back on his bike. There he goes. Dricus, also, another thing to talk about is that Dricus, man, he has a 76-inch reach. So he had a 4-inch reach advantage over Robert Whittaker, 3 or 4-inch reach advantage. So, like, them both having this, like, style to where they can cover so much distance. Like, look at that. Them having this style to where they can cover so much. He caught a kick and then caught him lacking. Boom, boom, boom. The fact that he can cover so much distance like that made it such a hard fight. But let me tell you what really went wrong, right? So right now they're orthodox. Now back to southpaw orthodox. Okay, orthodox. Dricus throws that lead high kick, starts hanging on his head. It's really in the grappling scenarios where I think Dricus got him the most. Like, yeah, he caught him with that jab over his own jab, but that was a good low kick by Dricus. Such a tricky style to figure out, man. There's that cross to left hook again. As soon as Dricus went orthodox, cross, left hook into the grappling scenario. Dricus just did a good job of tripping him. And then once it got to the ground, man, Dricus is so heavy. Look, you can see the size difference just right here. But then Dricus is trying to choke him, keeps putting him in this sequence, this Darce to elbow sequence. That, man, this fatigue you. Look how much Robert is having to carry his weight. All of Dricus's weight is on his legs, tiring out those big muscles. And I think this is mainly the reason why Rob got tired. I heard he also had an injury in his training camp, couldn't train as hard as he wanted to. But in my opinion, I think that's the real reason why Rob got tired in this fight. Another thing, I think he used the jab a little bit too much from these opposite stances. I feel like that cross would have done so much better had he used the cross a little bit more when Dricus went southpaw. You see, not committing to that jab, but committing to that cross a little bit more. That keeps him darty, that keeps him fast and out of trouble. But if you commit to the jab too much from in that southpaw stance, that's where you start running into trouble, especially against a guy with longer arms. See how he's covering that distance? That's good. And tries to crash forward into him. He's eating that jab on the entry a good amount of times. That's actually what ends up finishing him too. Oh, almost lands that kick. What did he see there? Why did he throw that kick? Okay, he saw the open stance. Saw that they're opposite stances. Probably felt like he needs to just throw that kick more. That one got him to the body. That's taxing on the gas tank. Nice. Good little double jab. But you see how he's moving a little less in this round. He's more flat-footed. That's fatigue. Stop it. Good little jab to left hook. Now you can't go off after a jab here. You can't commit heavily on a jab. That's what happens. He commits heavily on a jab. And again, Dricus comes right over the top. He was okay doing it from orthodox versus orthodox, but southpaw versus orthodox, that's where you run into trouble. So much distance that you have to cover that. That's where you run into trouble. All right, we're not going to watch the rest of that. We now are going to move on to Paulo Costa's fight. But before we do that, I think it's important now to talk about Robert Whittaker's keys to victories going into this fight. So based off of everything we just watched, his keys to victories against Paulo Costa is gonna have to be to stay light on his legs, right? Light on your feet, constantly circling right. Paulo Costa has trouble, in which we're about to see right now, but he has trouble tracking people down. And the main reason people take damage from Paulo Costa is because they stop moving, right? They either get fatigued from the pressure, or maybe they're worried about the power, just want to cover up. That's the worst thing you could do against Paulo Costa. The best thing you could do is stay all the way out, keep him guessing about where you're gonna exit to, and then when he fully commits, you fully commit, or catch one of his big kicks, or maybe even clinch with him, and that's how you're gonna see Izzy kind of manage a distance and control Paulo Costa. So again, light on your feet, attack the legs, especially that lead leg of Paulo Costa, if you can make him switch, that's even more perfect and create those crashing scenarios. That's how Robert Whittaker's gonna try and win this fight. That's how I think he can have a good and easier time with Paulo Costa. Staying on the outside, getting him frustrated, and then the moment he starts sitting down to overcommit, throwing those high kicks, throwing everything that Robert Whittaker is good at, that's how I think he'll be able to get Paulo Costa. Now, on the other hand, with Paulo Costa and his keys to victories, we're going to get into that after this film study. So, let's go ahead and start watching some of Paulo Costa's film, yeah? So, starting off with the last person he fought who was orthodox, Israel Adesanya. Look at what Izzy does. Constantly circling to the weak side of Paulo Costa, measuring him, feints. Oh, dirty oblique kick right there. And Izzy, I think everyone already knows what Izzy did in this fight. He beat up that lead leg of Paulo. Now he's circling to the power side though. Still kicking that leg. And one thing about Paulo, he's gonna throw with those antics at you, man. He's gonna taunt you. He's gonna want you to come in, meet him. That way he doesn't have to chase you and cut you off. That was a good low kick by Paulo, but it seems like he doesn't really set anything up, right? He just throws things to hurt you and to hit you. It's all face value from Paulo. That's what it just seems like, right? See how Izzy kicks his leg, starts moving, and then later you're gonna see that he's not just doing that to do that. He kicks his leg, gets him moving, draws him in, and then finishes him. Let's actually go back to that because I saw something so he kicks him, right? And then Paulo's actually gonna throw a body kick here, but it's very telegraphed. Look at this. He just walks into range and then throws a body kick now. Paulo, granted, it's been a long time since he had this fight. This was, I believe, 2019 that he had this fight with Izzy. So it's been almost 5 years. But he hasn't had too many. He's only had 2 fights since. And I haven't seen too much of a change. Other than that, he uses his grappling maybe a little bit more. That's about it. However, you can see already that he backs straight up, which is why his leg is always available for Izzy to kick. Either he backs straight up and he tries to close the distance straight. He doesn't cut you off, and that linear movement is why I'm saying Robert Whittaker should stay on the outside, keep moving side to side like this. Keep it tricky, keep it playful. He's gonna give you the opportunities to maybe catch one of those big, powerful kicks that he throws like that. The head kicks are there. He doesn't get the hands up all the way because he's usually looking to throw back. Let's fast forward here a little bit. Izzy just does an amazing job of just beating up this guy's legs. He's so lead leg heavy. You see, Izzy sees it too. Those high kicks. Look very closely. He doesn't get those hands up all the way. That is danger 101. You can knock yourself out with your own hand right here. If you can see my cursor. Bang. Didn't happen that time though. Moving into round 2. Yeah. Izzy's back on the leg kicks. Fainted. See how he just moves? Everything is always straight back. Does he ever cut any angles? Do you ever see him cut any angles, or is he just trying to? Is he right? He's just having his way. He knows where Paulo's gonna be at all times. Now this isn't too much to knock Paulo. I just think this is important to go over this fight and just see where Paulo's holes are, right? Those are some good leg kicks. He's committing to that leg kick now. I'd like to see him take a sidestep before entering into one of his combinations though, so that way he's leading the footwork dance. He takes another sidestep. Now he's looking to come forward and hit him, and bang. Now he tried to play that one off, but to be honest, that one also did a little bit of damage. Look at this. As soon as Izzy switches southpaw, cross into a head kick. That's not a good high kick defense, man. It's really not. Tries to play it off, but we all know what happens later. Again, low kick, and you can see that he doesn't have any, like, man, when you're at this range and you're trying to get in on someone, you gotta maybe throw some punches on air, throw punches at his hands in order to intercept him, throw a kick and then go into your punches. But you see, Paulo's just trying to walk straight into distance, expecting Izzy to be there. That way he could just throw big shots on his guard. Izzy actually talked about this during the lead up, right? But he's just trying to walk forward, and Izzy's not gonna let that happen. He's gonna keep stepping off to the side. I would assume that Rob's also going to keep stepping off to the side, maybe look to crash into him. But these are kind of the styles at play. That was a good body kick from Izzy. Finally tracks him down, throws a big body kick, which semi got caught. But it's really nothing very impressive, which is why you heard me say the good things and bad things about Costa. That I feel like a lot of people think that Paulo's higher ranking than he is because he's always in the media, even without fighting. But fun character or not, you saw that that kick did damage. That wasn't a good kick. Again, cross to the high kick, something that Robert Whittaker loves to do. Again, he's late to block it, just like he was the two times beforehand. That one hurt him, now he's wobbling. Now he's circling. Now that his back's against the cage. You can't wait until your back's against the cage to circle. That just sets you up for things. You gotta start doing that early. Just throw off people's time and rhythm. But by this point, his leg's so beat up, I doubt he has any kind of lateral movement. Anyways, we know how this one ends. I just wanted to kind of point out his opening for the high kicks. Next thing I want to talk about, this thing is very important. Now, yes, this is against a southpaw in Marvin Vettori. However, and it's at 205, right? However, this is what I was talking about. Marvin just takes a couple steps forward and you see Paulo's immediate reaction backwards. Big, gross motions. All these kicks are just, you know, they're not really set up. He's just throwing them blank. And Marvin Vettori, now, he's a guy who's gonna try and get you up against the cage. That's a nice kick from Paulo. Now, he has very hard kicks, very powerful kicks. And he slammed that one in there too. Good high guard, good defense. Rob's not necessarily going to put this kind of pressure on Paulo, I don't think, since he has that kind of darty style. But just look when they're back in open range. See how he just leans back? His leg's right there for that kick. See how he's just backing straight up. Now, okay, he exits a little bit. Straight back till he hits the cage. Now he wants to circle. Now you saw what Vettori just landed right there, right? Let's go ahead and look at this. So Vettori steps to the outside of his foot as he's supposed to. Throws that cross. Surprises Paulo. Even though it doesn't land solid, it surprises him, which Robert's cross is definitely going to surprise you. He moves straight back. Throws a 1-2, feints the cross, goes after the left, and then Paulo sits in, tries to return, although can't. Where it comes around with the lead hook, looks almost exactly the same to Robert Whittaker, except it's from southpaw. What I want to see from Paulo in this is I want to see him exit a lot earlier rather than move straight back. Maybe even go into the clinch. That'll help him continue his forward pressure. But you see how there's no setup shots. Everything Paulo's throwing is to land and to hurt, which is why people can see what he's throwing and why they see it coming. I think maybe his best performance was against Uriah Hall, and Uriah Hall, he had a really good jab at the beginning but kind of abandoned it, and then ever since there he started getting walked down with punches, not very good footwork, and that's kind of Paulo Costa's best performance in my opinion. He also fought Yoel Romero. He had a war with Yoel, which was good, but probably the best competition he's ever beat. But there's that high kick. He almost leaned into that. So I think we've seen what I wanted to show you in those two fights as far as him moving backwards. Let's show something good though from Paulo, because he does have a lot of good. He's very powerful, like I said. Look how lean he looks here. This is the Paulo Costa I want to see enter into this fight. He's lean, he looks fast. Again, against another southpaw, but big kicker. Straight back again. Good whizzer. Yeah, I think the people who are probably going to have the hardest time with Paulo are wrestlers. If you're a very technical and good striker, and you have good footwork, it's going to be hard for him to track you down. Luke Rockhold is more of a grappler than a striker. He always had that big left high kick, but his footwork never really has been the best, and neither has his boxing. One more thing. Nice. That's what Paulo is also needing to add in. I think if he can grapple with Robert Whittaker, that will serve him so well. Just making him defend the grappling, making Rob defend the grappling could exhaust him, could make him carry his weight. Same scenario with the Dricus Du Plessis fight, because by us breaking this down, we can tell Robert Whittaker is more educated and he has a better thought process behind what he does than Paulo. But Paulo's grappling is underrated. He ended up mounting Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold has nasty jiu-jitsu. I mean, some of the best that we've ever even seen in the UFC. Really good jiu-jitsu, but he was able to stay on top of him, weigh on him, get him against the cage, mount him, Stay on his legs, stay heavy. This is all that altitude in which he ended up going 5 rounds. Look at this. As a matter of fact, look at the way he got him out in the first place. He's in half guard. That small motion, you saw how tight that was. His grappling is not bad. I don't know why people shit on him. Right here, he just decides to get up instead of chasing that armbar or staying on the back. I thought he maybe should have chased it, but 3-4 minutes into the round at altitude, he's probably feeling fatigued a little bit. They both probably are, which is why they're not throwing right now. You can always see that. And they get up from a heavy grappling exchange, start shaking their arms out. Very tiring. But look, big gross motions. He needs to set these things up. So there's my breakdown of Paulo Costa's few fights. I mean, we couldn't really break down too much of his film considering the fact that he hasn't fought in a long time. But from what we have broken down, hopefully you guys are able to make your picks. But first, before we finish off this video, going into Paulo Costa's keys to victory, I want to see him do well. I really do. I want to see him put on the best performance he's ever had. I want to see a good fight with Robert Whittaker. I think Robert is the more skilled fighter, more thought process behind what he does. But I think that in order for Paulo Costa to go ahead and get the win, I truly believe he can't move straight backwards for too long. Maybe 2 steps back and then you start exiting already. If you see his back against the cage, or you see him not using good footwork, or you see him kind of just having that plotty forward, pressure forward style, I think we could see Robert Whittaker getting this one. But again, for keys to victory, he needs to not move straight backwards. I would love to see him go for some grappling as well. Maybe look to take down Robert Whittaker if he sees him resting against the cage or something like that. Robert Whittaker generally has really good takedown defense, so that might be hard. But if he can find a scenario to catch a kick or to even like check something, or Robert Whittaker falls, or to off balance him in some way, capitalize on that by staying on top of him, making Rob carry his weight on the way up. And I think that's a very clear path to victory in my eyes, because I don't know if he could just have a straight kickboxing match with Robert Whittaker and live to tell the tale, right? And then lastly, he has to throw some smoke and mirrors. I hope that over the last 2 years he hasn't been fighting that. He has a lot more smoke and mirrors. Otherwise, if he's just trying to hit everything with every strike, he's gonna miss. And he's going to leave himself open to get countered. He's going to be very hesitant to throw when he's tired. There's so many things wrong with trying to hit everything that you throw with, right? But those are my keys to victory for Paulo Costa in order to beat Robert Whittaker at UFC 298. For my official prediction, I think that, yes, Robert is more weathered. He has more damage, more experience as well. While I do feel like he's the better skilled fighter, I feel like he is more damaged as well. And it only takes one from Paulo Costa, so I can see Paulo catching him. But I think that if Robert can get settled and he can get off to a good early start and is exiting, staying safe and things like that, I feel like a couple of good side kicks and oblique kicks to Paulo's knee, and I can see Robert Whittaker easily coming out with this one. So guys, make your picks based off of that. 100% on breakdowns, only 70% on predictions, so be careful with those if you're betting. And thank you guys for watching. If you like the content, go ahead and give a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts down below. Leave your predictions down below. Matter of fact, leave your top 5 picks for UFC 298, who you have for the main card of UFC 298. And if you haven't already checked out my Ilia Topuria versus Alexander Volkanovski breakdown, go ahead and check that one out as well. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your likes, comments, and subscriptions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.